Soon in class, we're going to be using something called CueThink. It's an online tool for solving and talking about interesting math problems. It has 4 stages of problem solving, and CueThink really helps you understand and solve the problem with lots of support at each step. You and a partner, or you individually, depending on what your teacher sets up, are going to use the laptops with a pen to write and draw your plan and solution. And then you're going to record a verbal explanation of your process and your answer. That recording is called a Thinklet. Then you're going to look and listen to someone else's solution, someone else's Thinklet, and write feedback to them. And then after that, we're going to look at our own Thinklets and see the feedback that was given to us by others. Getting to CueThink is going to happen via Blackboard. There's a new button called CueThink, and you click on the CueThink logo, and then it opens up Clever, where you're going to use your FCPS login information to get in, and then select the CueThink icon. You can also get to it just by going to clever.com. You're going to click Login as a student, and then it's important for you to search for your school. So type in Cooper Middle, and then you're going to have to scroll down to find Fairfax County Public Schools, because there's lots of Cooper Middle schools out there. And then use your FCPS login and select the CueThink logo. We're going to go through an example so you can kind of see what it's about. This example is called Charlie's Gumballs, and let's see what it's about here. Charlie has a giant bag of gumballs, and he wants to share them with his friends. He gives half of what he has to his buddy Jason. He gives half of what's left after that to Miranda. Then he gives half of what's left now to Zach. His mom makes him give 5 gumballs to his sister, and now he has 10 gumballs left. So let's work through the problem using CueThink. The first step is the understand phase, and the first part of that says, what do you notice? So you're going to be identifying important information here. You can see what I wrote about Charlie giving half to Jason, Miranda, and Zach, and then he gave 5 to his sister, and he ended with 10. In the next part, what do you wonder about? This is where you're going to generate your own questions about the problem. I wrote, how many did he give to Zach, and how many did he start out with? And the third part is where you estimate your answer. I estimated that he was going to start with about 100 gumballs. Now this is super important. An estimate is not solving the problem. You're going to use mental math to quickly come up with a rough idea of the answer, but you are definitely not solving the problem yet. The next phase is the plan phase. The first part of that is going to be choosing strategies. You're going to identify different strategies that you'd like to use, and you can choose more than one. Or you could add a totally new strategy if there's something you think is helpful that's not on the list. You can see that I decided I wanted to make a table and then work backwards. The next part is to write the plan. You're going to describe specifically all the steps of your plan that will get you to the solution. I wrote we were going to start with how many were left and then work backwards to figure out how many he had at each step before, and that our ending number would be the number that Charlie started with. Notice we have not yet solved the problem. All right, the next step is the solving phase. Now, as soon as you click that solve button, a dialog box is going to pop up, and you may not ignore it. It is super important that you must click allow to let the microphone work. If you don't do this, you're not going to be able to reset it later. You're going to have to log totally back out and then back in and start over. So don't forget to click the allow button. All right, so the solve phase has 2 parts. The first part, you're going to actually use your plan to solve the problem and show all your work. And you can see how I created my table, like I said it was going to do, and I got to my ending number is the starting amount for Charlie. It's okay to change your mind as you're solving the problem, because you might decide there's another strategy you'd like to use that might actually work better. And it's also okay if you don't manage to get to a solution. It's the process that's the most important, and it's okay if you can't find an answer. The second part is that you're going to make your recording that explains your process and your solution. This is called your Thinklet. You can pause the recording as you go and restart, and then at the end you will finish it and it will submit to CueThink. The next phase is the review phase. That has a bunch of different parts. The first part is that you're going to check your math. You're going to answer each of these questions. After that, you're going to watch your Thinklet, and then you're going to reflect on its quality, answering each of the questions they ask. Next, you're going to review your estimate, which is filled in there for you by CueThink. See how close you came, and then you're going to write your final answer. So I wrote that Charlie started with 120 gumballs. So I was kind of close, but a little under. After that, don't forget to submit by clicking the submit button. All right, then we're going to do the annotation phase. You're going to watch another group's Thinklet and give peer feedback in the form of comments, which are called annotations. After that, then you're going to review the annotations made to your Thinklet so that you can learn and improve your work the next time. So let's take a look. For Charlie's Gumballs, you're going to click this grid icon to see the other Thinklets, okay? And then choose a Thinklet that has no annotations yet. You can see mine has 3, so you might want to choose a different one that doesn't have any annotations yet, because we want to make sure everybody gets some feedback. So you're going to play the Thinklet and pause it to add annotations. You'll click the annotation button. It'll pop up and you're going to type in your annotation, and then once you click submit, you'll see that your annotation appears on the right. You can make more than one annotation for each Thinklet. Then we're going to review our own annotations. This is going to be helpful because we're going to see what other people thought about when they watched our Thinklet. So you're going to replay it and you're going to read the annotations, and you'll see that they'll be highlighted in gray at the point in the Thinklet where it was annotated. We're going to see 2 short examples of Thinklets created by other people. This one is mine. So let's see what I did.
We started off with the fact that he ended up with 10 gumballs. And since right before that he gave 5 to his sister, that means he had 15 before he gave some to his sister. And so then since before that he had some and he gave half to Zach, if half ended up being 15, it means that he had 30 before that. And so then if he gave half to Miranda, that means then before he gave half and ended up with 30, he would have had 60. And then the same thing with Jason, so he would have had 120. So we know that's how that was the starting amount. He started with 120 gumballs.
All right, let's take a look at another example. This one was made by CueThink, so it's a little bit more polished than mine, but all of them are okay. Let's take a look at this one.
The question I'm trying to solve for this scenario is how many gumballs did Charlie start with? First, I drew a number line. I started my number line at 10 because that's how many gumballs I know Charlie has left at the end. Since I don't know how many gumballs he started with, I decided to work backwards. I know he gave his sister 5 gumballs, so I added 5 gumballs when working backwards. That brings me to 15. If Charlie gave each friend half the amount of gumballs he has left, then I have to double the amount of gumballs each time. I started by doubling 15 to get 30, so I know Zach got 15 gumballs. I doubled 30 to get 60, and then I doubled 60 to get 120. To check my work, I started with 120 gumballs and gave half to each friend and 5 gumballs to his sister to make sure Charlie still ends up with 10 gumballs. Half of 120 is 60, half of 60 is 30, and half of 30 is 15. 15 minus 5 is 10. So my answer of Charlie started with 120 gumballs is reasonable.
All right, that's it. I think CueThink is a great way to work through solving interesting problems, and we're looking forward to doing it in class.